So yeah, I must remember with this new red hair that I really shouldn't wear this sweater because I look like a Christmas ornament.
You look like Christmas is great. Like,
Exactly.
if you look like you're Christmas ornament, then great.
But it's a couple months early.
The thing is, you do, but that's by no means a bad thing, like at all. Not at all.
Okay, so I have something to play for you.
I have a feeling I'm going to get hurt, and I'm ready for a hurt me. I want you to hurt me, Daddy. Love it.
You hurt me. Yeah.
That was this episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a sort of a be careful what you wish for.
I had no idea. I had no idea of the depth to which I was going to get hurt.
Hi, friends.
Hello, puppets.
Howdy, y'all.
And welcome to Muppet Sex and Trauma. I'm Sara Ezzat. I make the Costume Codex videos on YouTube and kind of look like a Christmas ornament.
I'm Jack Kramme, editor / right-hand man for Passion of the Nerd and editor for Chipperish Media.
And I'm Josh Gosdin. I'm just a big old nerd.
And that's enough. And we are here today to talk about the way we weren't. So we are here for a therapy session.
Yep.
Yep. The Way We Weren't was written by Nareen Shankar. This is the first of 3 Farscape episodes by him. I wish we got more, but he goes on to showrun CSI and create The Expanse. So we don't get more Farscape. And it's directed by our old friend Tony Tilsey.
We start in Moya's past. A group of peacekeepers storm into Pilot's den, but it isn't the pilot we know. This pilot is female. She refuses to obey the commands of the lead peacekeeper until Grace walks in. A younger Grace, still fully in command, at least of the peacekeepers, if not of his own sanity. He demands to know if there is a replacement pilot, and hearing that there is, orders the peacekeepers to execute the female pilot. They obey. As he leaves and the peacekeepers prepare to extract the pilot's remains, one of them removes her helmet, and we see it is Erin.
The camera freezes and we see that this is a recording. Gianna found it in storage and is showing it to John. When they show the recording to the rest of the crew, Erin confirms that yes, she did help kill a pilot on a Leviathan. She didn't know that Leviathan was Moya. Emotions are running high. No one wants to be reminded of those times. Dargo, Zahn, and Rigel are remembering the pain and humiliation of imprisonment and are now confronted with the evidence that their friend participated in peacekeeper brutality. They all agree that Pilot must never see this tape. Erin is really struggling with her feelings. She's flooded by guilt and shame of her past, and other feelings too. Crichton coaxes her to talk about the past, and the story comes out.
Lead peacekeeper from the video, Valorek, was a Leviathan specialist. She was assigned to him as a pilot. The two became lovers. Relationships are frowned on in peacekeeper circles. Sex is allowed, but only hookups. No feelings. But Valorek was different. She felt things for him, though she didn't know what the feeling was at the time. Now, she thinks it was love. Valorek had been brought in to help with some secret project of Grace's, one that involved bringing in a new pilot, one that Erin now realizes was Moya's current pilot.
Erin's story is interrupted by Pilot in the present. Despite their agreement, Rigel showed him the tape, and he wants to see Erin. Pilot rages at Erin, grabbing her by the throat as we flash back again into the past.
Valorek is talking to Pilot as he's lowered into his den. A flunky whispers to Valorek about some task that he's completed. When Pilot asks about it, Valorek dismisses it.
Back in the present, Pilot lets Erin go, but insists she leave Moya immediately. Until she does, Moya will not move a metra. Crichton teases more of Erin's story from her.
In the past, we see Valorek and Erin talking in bed after sex. He talks about wanting to get them permanently assigned together. She is special, he says. She deserves more than flying prowlers and serving a madman like Grace. Erin is shocked at his insubordination. He goes on to tell her that Grace's secret project is an abomination that could harm the ship and Pilot.
In the present, Crichton goes to hear Pilot's side of the story.
Pilot flashes back to Valorek, telling him They don't have time for him to bond naturally with Moya, but will have to speed it up artificially, and it's going to hurt. He will have to get used to the pain.
Pilot tells John Moya wasn't given a choice to accept him, that she was tortured into it. In shame and anger, Pilot severs his connection with Moya. He is intensely relieved. For the first time, the pain is gone. Without Pilot, Moya is adrift, and none of her systems are working right. Aaron recognizes that she needs to go to Pilot. They need to talk. Speaking of talking, John pushes her for more of her story.
In the past, Aaron is giving Valeric a massage as he makes future plans. He tells her in the right new place she would thrive, she could be so much more. She stops, and she begs him, whatever he did to Krace's plan, he needs to reverse it. It's not too late. Except it is too late. Krace enters with guards to arrest Valeric. He tells Aaron she did good, informing on him, and can have whatever duty she requests. As he is dragged away, Valeric says, see, he was right. She is special.
In the present, Aaron and John arrive in Pilot's den. Pilot is defensive and angry, but Aaron pushes through. She says she knows she deserves to die for what she did. But if he doesn't reconnect with Moya, they will all die, including him. Pilot says it is not she who deserves to die, it is him. You see, it was not just that he replaced the old Pilot.
Once more, we flash back in time, this time to a planet. Valeric and Pilot are there. Pilot says the elders have decreed he isn't yet ready to bond with the Leviathan. Valeric tells him that he offers Pilot the stars, all Pilot has ever wanted. And if he doesn't accept, Valeric will find someone else, someone who isn't afraid.
Pilot tells Aaron that without him, Valeric may not have found anyone, that he is responsible for the old Pilot's death. Aaron strokes his face to comfort him, as she once saw Valeric do. She says that then she could not fathom him doing so. Now she couldn't fathom not doing so. They are both changed so much. He strokes her cheek in return, and says he knows how to get some of the control back. Sometime later, the crew are helping him rebond, and Dargo insists that he and Moya have the chance to bond naturally, even if it makes things harder for the crew. They make a connection, and Pilot is amazed that he can now connect to Moya without pain. Elsewhere, Aaron and John are talking. She has figured out what the secret project was. It was Talon. Krace had been trying to breed warships, and that Valeric had installed the prophylactic shield Dargo eventually broke. She tells John how Valeric had said she could be so much more, just as John did when they first met. And you say you think you could have loved this man, says John with a smile. So, thoughts?
This episode puts the trauma in Muppet Sex and Trauma.
It really does.
Holy crap.
Also the Muppets and the sex.
Yeah, there's that too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive work with Pilot.
This episode is a really poignant exploration of trauma, guilt, grief, and just all of those things. Like I was taken aback. I was shocked. I went through a gamut of emotions watching this episode.
Man, I love this episode. I was just start to finish was just enthralled, just enraptured. It was so good. I was also, going on emotional highs and emotional lows. I was so excited to learn more about Pilot. I was so excited to get an episode focused on Aaron. I was so excited to see all of the fantastic interactions and all that we'll dig into in a second, but the shot right after the credits that takes them back to all of them now confronting Aaron with the recording was just pristine.
Yeah, that transition was great. And there's so many great scene transitions from the past and the present and this really creative stuff.
That was so good.
You may or may not remember that at our sort of season wrap-up thing, when I was talking about the season to come, I said there was an episode that is one of my favorite pieces of television ever.
Oh,
This is it.
This is it.
okay.
I believe it, man. This is so good.
Totally understandable.
As to favorite episodes of Farscape, there's another one that is a very, very close second. But it still remains this one as my all-time favorite Farscape episode because it just blows me away.
Yeah, I mean, I said Crackers Don't Matter is my favorite, and it is, but so is this one because I like them both for vastly different reasons, like vastly.
Yes.
Because you guys know me, I love silly, I love stupid, I love over the top, but I also like having my heart disintegrated, and that's what this episode did.
Absolutely, yes. Destroy me, wreck me. Hurt me, daddy, just like Jack said, 100%. That's what I come to television for and film for.
Yeah,
and hurt me with meaning.
Yes, absolutely.
Because like you probably don't remember that on our very first episode, I didn't tell you what my favorite part of that episode was because it would be a spoiler.
Oh,
my favorite. The spoiler minute says my favorite part of the episode is when John tells her she can be so much more.
I love it.
Like this episode is we talked about drop threads last episode. This is the episode that's like, I'm going to take this thread and this thread and this thread, and I'm going to do everything with it. Like this is master storytelling.
Absolutely.
And would you believe this was made about 6 months before Fool for Love? Which we think of as the flashback episode.
Okay.
This was actually made before it. Sort of one of those, like, things where two people come up with the same brilliant idea at the same time.
Yeah. On the topic of pilot, because somebody mentioned pilot just and I think it was you, Josh. Pilot now to me feels like a fully realized, fully actualized character, which we also got the beginnings of in the last episode, I believe, because previously I liked him and everything, but he was just sort of, like the Guardian Moya exposition sort of character. But now he's like real, we got a little bit of that, like, when he got his arms ripped off, of course. But now he feels like an actual character, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it was just so good. And you mentioned also earlier on when I said something about the puppet that made up Pilot, and you said something like, "Oh, just you wait," and like getting to see the undercarriage and everything like that. Get into Pilot's like POV.
Pilot's undercarriage.
Pilot's undercarriage, yeah. And
I'm sorry.
Got to really like get up and dig in. No, that was just astonishing puppetry and set design and production design. This whole episode was just top notch. And I'm delighted to I recognize the name Naren Shankar because he cut his teeth on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay.
And he was a writer of several of my favorite episodes, and he also was a story editor for most of the 7th season. So he's pretty good at strumming your life with his fingers.
Yeah, he is a master storyteller. He has some of the awards to prove it.
The name actually rings a bell. I think I might be familiar with some of his work. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Star Trek, but I know that name. So I don't know.
Well, CSI and The Expanse were his main show running.
Okay.
But he's also written on other things.
I haven't watched much of those either. I don't know. The name rings a bell.
Everybody has been telling me to watch The Expanse.
Yes,
same.
I've watched some of season 1. It's one of those ones that's so intense that I'm like, I will watch this in like blocks because otherwise I will do nothing but watch this.
Yeah. One thought I had straight out into the gate watching this episode is that Krace redemption arc I've been talking about for so long now seems very, very far away at this point. Like, because that opening scene in particular, where they just brutally murder the original pilot, was cold, man. Like, there's only so much you can show us before a character becomes completely unredeemable, and Grace is reaching that point, you know. So damn.
Yeah.
I'm just, I would like, it was just so meaty. There were so many little things. I can't wait to talk about it all.
Okay, so let's dig in. First of all, sort of a little small thing is I do love this time. John is not doing. There is no Die Hard.
Yes.
There's no John McClane. We have him saving the day by being ship's counselor.
I thought about you, Jack. I thought about you the whole time.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, I loved that. And look, typically, I don't hate John. I don't at all. John is a lovely man. I'm sick of him being an action hero constantly, you know.
Yeah, this is a nice change of pace for John.
Yeah, and he sort of helps people to help themselves in this episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I love how this episode focused on Aaron also, because this completely averts one of my chief longstanding complaints about how they use Aaron's character of both, you know, she's billed as this badass female, but the number of times that they make her a damsel in distress to be rescued. And this was not that. This was just so, oh God, it was like character steak. It was so good.
Yeah, and I want somebody to drive to Claudia Black's house and give her an Emmy for this performance, because, like,
really,
holy shit, she brought the A game for the entire episode. She must have been emotionally exhausted after filming this, like drained. Like, I hope she got to go and have like a spa day, drank some wine, gone a nails did. You know, like, I hope she was pampered after this, because holy shit, like this, there was so much, like, her intensity in some of those scenes is she was drawing from some genuine emotion somewhere. This wasn't like it was acting, but that she was, I feel as though she was going method with some of it, because it was too believable. I don't know.
Yeah, she's just that good.
She was so good. And, you know, hats off to Claudia Black, just 500% agreed. She took me on a ride, man, and I was glad to be just dragged along behind this emotional horse. It was fantastic. And then just Aaron's whole, so recontextualizing and revealing so much of her previous interactions with Pilot. And so far I feel like the episode left it ambiguous, but so far I'm with her that she genuinely didn't realize that she was on the same Leviathan interacting with the same pilot. You know, I feel like, because there was that moment where she passes on in the hallway.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. So I don't know about that.
It was ambiguous, and right now I'm in the she didn't know camp. And so, but like, obviously she remembers the experience, and she remembers, you know, watching an innocent person getting murdered, then watching another innocent person getting tortured, betraying her lover. And so all of the times that she has stood up for Pilot so far in the series and connected with him and reached out to him, it just gets, it's so much more well done, like in retrospect.
Yeah. I totally believe that she doesn't remember, you know, that she didn't realize that it was, I think the way that they do the flashbacks, it feels like it's not just, you know, here is what happened, but it's sort of like, here is her remembering what happened.
Yeah.
Because most of the time there's actual time gaps in like the present timeline while she is remembering the past. So I like take moments like the passings on is like, she wouldn't have at the time, you know, past Aaron wouldn't have thought twice about, wouldn't have even looked at this Delbian that's passing her. But remembering her memories, she's thinking, was that Dawn?
I like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's the way I read it.
So Yeah, because we get that we get that scene where she says, I do what I am ordered to do. It doesn't mean that I'm interested. So for me, whether she remembers it or not, I feel as though she I mean, because that same scene points out that asking questions is forbidden, right? And we also know that she desperately wants to get back to prowler duty. And so for me, my read is that she is actually struggling with the inhumanity of what is going on, and that's why she so desperately wants to get out of there. So whether she is aware of it and or not, whether she was hiding it from the crew, I still feel for her because she wasn't having a good time. And it brings to mind questions along the lines of like like during times of war and whatnot, like people commit atrocities because they are ordered to. It makes me think of like the Nuremberg trials and stuff like that. And whilst that might not absolve someone of guilt, responsibility, it's often not a clear-cut black and white thing. It depends on the circumstances. And like we don't like at this point, we don't know a great deal about what the peacekeepers would do if she refused an order, but I think it's safe to say that it wouldn't be a pleasant thing, right? Whatever happened, so it's a really tricky situation. I feel for her. I genuinely do.
Like they came in and when they arrested Valeric, is it Valeric or Valeric?
Valeric.
When they arrested Valeric, Grace like explicitly says, "We couldn't find any evidence that you did anything. So we're charging you with treason."
Yeah. So the accusation was enough.
Yeah. And like that. So when I stitched together the interactions that we saw Aaron have with others in the past, with the two jocks that came back from cleaning out the remains of the previous pilot, with Grace didn't even like rebuke her. He just flat out didn't acknowledge her and walked away mid-sentence. That's really dehumanizing. And then with watching Valeric being arrested anyway, with the admission that they couldn't find any evidence that he'd done anything wrong. And so, like, evidence doesn't matter to the peacekeepers. Aaron was trapped inside of a horrifying system, and
right,
the just following orders, or the did what I had to do to survive, or the anybody would have done the same kinds of justifications are easy to I guess sneer at from the outside looking in, but from somebody who's trapped within that system, sometimes it's the only thing that I've got to imagine,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and we get a bit of and we get quite a lot of insight into the peacekeepers in this episode.
Yeah.
The way that she talks about their attitude to relationships. And that breeding is something that is done to fill the ranks. She's already talked about that moment where her mom saw her mom snuck in to tell her that that she had to see, it was a clandestine thing where she had to sneak in the middle of the night just to tell her that she wasn't a forced birthing. She was a chosen. And then we've also saw that Crace and his brother were taken as children. So this is a lifelong indoctrination into fascism. Where they are not allowed emotional connection. Think about that, and they're allowed sex as long as it's not emotional and a relationship. Yeah. Like this is why I've said before, I feel like in a sense, all peacekeepers are socialized male, which is why I think there's a trans allegory in Aaron, or at least a gender journey where she is rediscovering, because all things that we would define as feminism, or all things that we would define as feminine, have been eliminated completely from her world. And so she's and it is also interesting to me that it's a man who first shows her the value of compassion. But it's just why I just find the gender journey of that just fascinating.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you think about the dehumanization of that, of not being able to have any. She's not had parents. She's not had boyfriends or girlfriends. She's not had, I mean, do they even have friendships? All they've had is the sort of people who are their comrades in arms.
And even that isn't treated as something that's valuable or respectable. It's, you're down in the muck with us now. It's misery loves company.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and
right.
they're definitely treated as grunts.
Mm-hmm.
Before, she's told us that they're expected to, if their plane was down, they were expected to find another. They weren't trained to repair the ship, which tells me that they were disposable. She has been
just worker bees.
Yeah, she is cannon fodder her entire life. So, like, I see all those pieces, all those threads coming together in this episode to really show us, like, this is the world that she comes from. So, like, in the pilot, when she tells us compassion, what is compassion? Oh, I know this feeling. I hate this feeling. And then to where we come now, where she's even recontextualizing her own memories. To have compassion for the victims.
Right. Yeah. And on the topic of Valorek, just quickly, his arrest, that crushed me. Like, just the fact that he doesn't get angry at her either. He still basically loves her, and he's like, I told you were special. I was like, oh my freaking heart. Oh my god.
He knows. Valorek shows indications of somebody who's already broken the programming but hasn't figured out how to escape.
Yeah.
So he knows that he is also trapped in a horrifying system. He knows that all of the things that the peacekeepers are telling them to value and to focus on and concentrate on, bring hurt and bring subjugation. And so he doesn't blame her because he understands that she's just as much of a victim.
Exactly. Yeah. Dude, that's beautiful. I love that interpretation. That's great. I like that reading. Yeah, my jaw legitimately dropped at like finding out that she betrayed him. Like, it made sense, but it was like, oh, brutal.
And the obviously, like, she's regretting it in that moment when she's like, no, take it back.
Yeah, and God, no one. This poor woman, like, my God.
Yeah,
she's been through so much.
This is only the beginning.
Thanks.
I'm not surprised because we're only on season 2 here. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
When you have an actor like Claudia Black, right to it.
Right. Also, I think it's important that we talk about this, but I really could have done without the rape red herring. That was very weird.
That is the one flaw I have with this episode.
Even for the year 2000 when this came out, that was weird. Like, when stuff like this happens in Farscape so far, we say, oh well, it was 20 odd years ago, but I feel like even back then this was very weird. I don't know. It's just like the score and the way it cuts between John and Aaron, and then Aaron and Valorek. It's so ominous and gross, and then she smiles and they have sex. It's like, what? It's so weird.
That is, to my mind, that is the single flaw in this episode, is I hate the rape fake out.
Yeah, it's the only, everything else I loved, but I hated that. It didn't, like, when you do something like that, it has to be for a purpose, and this was only done to shock us, to scare us. There was no meaning or purpose to it. It didn't. Taking that out or doing it a different way wouldn't have changed this story at all. So it didn't need to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Sexual assault is one of those things that's like, as a storytelling tool, it is like the forklift. You don't take it out for ordinary jobs.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes
You know,
sense.
you don't just use it for you don't use it casually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it felt casual. It did felt casual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was more common to treat it casually in the 2000s. Yeah.
Mm.
It is a
I
flaw.
was I
We
was just really
recognize that.
taken aback by that. But yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it was just so weird, so out of place and gross.
Yep. Just like
Mm.
the last episode.
Yes.
Both of these are exceptional, brilliant episodes that they both,
Yeah.
the flaw in them is that both of them bring in sexual assault
Mm-hmm.
for no reason and
Unhelpfully.
unhelpfully
Yeah.
without treating it with the severity.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
we're not
Um,
we're not condemning it with we're not condemning the show for not being what it is today, but we are watching it today.
Yeah.
So we have to comment on it.
exactly. With the hindsight that we have now, I guess is
Yeah.
a good way to put it. But yeah, I love that this episode really enables me now to understand why Erin is the way she is, why she's always pushing people away. It's not just toughness or, bravado or just like, oh, I've been through some shit. Like she's been through some real shit. So it all makes sense now. And yeah, it's sort of retroactively like, I can't wait when we're done with the show to go back and watch it again with this, knowing this,
Mm-hmm.
It struck me that even back then, while she was still a peacekeeper, while she was still Officer Soon, that she was still trying to push people away. Prowler duty is sitting by yourself in a cockpit day in and day out.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't want to be on a team. She doesn't want to work with people. Claudia Black plays her like almost claustrophobic when she's walking through the hallways. And they did a really good job of like filling Moya up with peacekeeper extras. But her and the director, like the way that she kind of seems to she looks like a piece of furniture most of the time. Like she's just like trying to just be, and the camera always makes her small in all of the flashback shots when she's among peacekeepers.
Oh, okay. I like
All she wants to do is be in space.
Hey, I like that too. But yeah, this it also does a really great job. And again, this is like Claudia Black's performance, but showing like genuine anxiety and PTSD. There are scenes where she's literally like keeled over, like physically reeling from it, and that is a very true to life expression of PTSD. Like incredible, really incredible.
Her breakdown in the punching bag scene, like just totally supplicate on the floor, weeping openly, like that. Good Lord! And then just the anguish on her face when John pulled her up to hold her.
Yeah, that scene in particular, that makes me wonder if she went method somehow, because it was too real, like way too real to just be acting. Like, I don't know. Like
also like the way that she responds to the others who are blaming her or just like in their feelings.
Yeah, it's like she was less defensive than she normally is under other circumstances. She was more like, no, I kind of deserve this. Like she was still trying to, like sort it out, like talk about it, defend herself a little bit, I guess, but not to the extent that she normally would. And that to me says that she was genuinely guilty, like she genuinely felt bad.
Except for Zahn. She pushed back on Zahn in all of their interactions. And I was with her. I like, oh man, this is probably gonna be another one of those moments where our watchers and listeners may disagree with my protestations, but fuck Zahn in this episode.
I mean, it did feel a bit weird that she was so mean to Aaron, considering what we've seen Zahn do.
Fuck Zahn in this episode.
See, I both am angry at Zahn for her behavior, but I love it. I love that that Zahn is not the always all forgiving, all loving. Like when she is reminded of all of this stuff and like she, you know, she has a sort of selfish, petty, crappy side. And I like that our sort of Earth Mother character also has that side. I love that. I feel like she's having complicated feelings when she's patching Aaron up after Pilot throttles her.
I did. So I was able to pull myself off the ceiling a little bit with the realization that Zahn is probably Zahn and to a lesser extent Rigel and Dargo are probably feeling a lot of like projected shame. You know, I mean, Aaron, finally somebody calls them out on like, oh, but we can dismember people.
Yes. I was just about to say that.
I almost tackled my own television when that happened.
Yeah, because I was thinking that too. I'm like, you know, like glass houses, lady, like Jesus Christ.
But so that's projected shame is the best thing that I can think to reconcile it. But man, fuck Zahn in this episode.
It also felt particularly weird that like Zahn is so like unrelentingly mean, and then when Aaron is packing up to leave, Zahn's suddenly kind of nice to her again. I'm like, what are you doing?
And that was the point where it connected for me. I was like, okay, this is mostly about Zahn feeling shame for herself. I'm here for that. I get that, but fuck Zahn.
Yeah,
amen, brother.
As a character, like as a person, I'm also, at least in the first half of the episode, like fuck Zahn, but also I kind of understand that where like she has all the feelings from her time in captivity and stuff, and the mix. So I, from a writing perspective, love that we have Messi's on.
Oh yeah, it's much more interesting than airy fairy love everybody like Zahn.
My reaction is absolutely a credit to the writing and the acting. Like that that I was ready to belay into my flat screen was
it's maddening because it's so good.
It's like, so good, exactly, 100%. I'm very on board with that.
And the fact that she's so pissed, and yet she still is driven to. She still will do her job of being the medic.
Right? Yeah.
That felt more patronizing than doing her job.
I think it was both. Which again, Zahn has a patronizing.
I didn't see it that way, but I get it now.
Like it brings out Zahn does have this sort of patronizing aspect to her character.
She can do, She really can do when she thinks she's right. Absolutely.
She's got this like that self-righteous shit. But Chiana calling them all out and being like, what did you guys think she was doing when she was a peacekeeper?
Actually, I loved the fact that in the beginning, Chiana was the understanding one. I was like, wow, that's great.
Yes.
Because of course.
Chiana stirring shit.
Yeah.
But
Speaking about like, it's true. Did you like, do have to reckon with the fact that she has a past.
Well, and that's Chiana's point is like, what did you all think that she like?
Exactly. Yeah.
How is this not what you had already imagined she might have done? Like, what did you think she was fleeing from in the Peacekeepers? What did you think that she needed to redeem herself from? And so Chiana being like, why are you all upset? Why is this a surprise?
And yet to actually see it is different.
I mean, I guess, but not to people who've literally torn someone's arm off.
Yeah. And so fuck Zahn, but also fuck Rigel. What a dick. I don't know. I'm in two minds about that because, like, on one hand, it was just a dick move and trying to cause shit. But at the same time, Pilot sort of had a right to know. I don't know. I'm conflicted there. Yeah.
This is the use of having these two chaotic characters.
Yeah. It did feel a little bit like a very like quick and easy like method, like in terms of just writing a narrative. Oh yeah, just Rigel gives him the holographic thingy. Like
that's why you have a character like Rigel, because you don't have to spend a bunch of time like making it justifiable for him to do that. He is just that guy.
Yeah. So yeah, Pilot had a right. I think I lean more towards Pilot had a right to know, but I don't know. Yeah, Rigel's a dick.
Well, just story wise, it had to come out because this is the thing. The catharsis has to cathart. It has to actually come out.
Yes.
Somebody has to say, "Hey, you know what? You guys chopped off his arm."
Yeah.
Somebody has to say, "Hey, you know, Erin did some reprehensible shit when she was a Nazi."
I thought it was really clever that they made Pilot disconnect himself from Moya as a means of portraying disassociating as a result of trauma. Because he disconnects himself and then feels nothing, and that's straight up disassociating. And I thought that is so fucking clever. I love that.
Yeah, that was really good.
And the pain stopping. So yeah, let's talk about Pilot, because
let's talk about this.
This is the first time that he really, really and truly is a full and total character.
Yeah. I think. I mean, Pilot's got more right to be pissed than anyone, really. Like maybe Dargo too, but Pilot went through some horrific shit. But yeah, I really, really just I loved it. I'm sorry. What else can I say? It was so good.
Yeah, it was so good. Oh man. This is it's interesting that Pilot has been so far this angry because he thought he deserved it. Like he thought he deserved worse than Erin. You know, when they tore off his arm, he was still just like, well, I guess I'll just have to type a little slower now. And then, you know, when the light guy came onto the ship afterwards, he was just like, well, that was kind of weird, but I guess we're all cool now, even though we don't sit together. But this time, when he was angry at himself, was when he lost his shit the most at other people. So I loved that bit of layer.
I did love the reveal that like he wasn't just angry at Erin, that he was angry at himself, and that he had his own guilt. That made it so much more complex. It's just so much to think about, man. It's just incredible.
Yeah, this is one episode that Lonnie Tupu was particularly proud of for getting to do that real character work with Pilot. Because of course, in this episode, he was both Trace and Pilot.
Yeah, and his voice acting was incredible, like on point. Like it was very believable. Yeah, voice work is hard to make sound sort of genuine. You know what I mean? But this felt very, very genuine and natural. It was so good. And then I fucking love Erin and Pilot comforting each other, stroking each other's cheeks. That my freaking heart, dude. Oh, it was just gorgeous. And the fact that they have this like common ground, and you know, the fact that they share DNA, and just I can't stop gushing about it. It was just incredible.
Yeah, everyone who only listens just missed all the stuff Josh just did with his face.
If you want to see my gesticulation, check us out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh my. No, that like that whole, and just they've really nailed the puppet. Because like that, you know, just the way that The way that his eyes were so
Yeah.
just sad.
And the lighting, it was different
Ugh.
lighting too. It was like warmer lighting on his face. It was really good.
Well, I'm starting to think that he's sitting on a mood rock because every time he got angry this episode, the lighting changed to red.
Yeah. I think about that too, and I overthink it, but I'm like, it's
which
fine.
is it's good yet cheesy set design.
I loved the set design of him on his home world, or what I assume
That
is
was
his
cool,
home world.
man. That was real cool.
with the stars and the fog, it looked really, really cool.
Yeah,
I wish
young
we'd have seen
pilot.
more. I wish we'd seen the elders. I want to see more. I want more.
Yeah. I'd
Oh,
love
there's
more of
only
that.
so many of those puppets they can do.
Give me more.
Yeah. It was very obvious to me that the two pilots were the same puppet, but that's fine. That's a big expensive puppet, so what are you gonna do?
But the voice actor, who did the voice for the female pilot?
It was a lady. I looked on
don't know.
IMDb. I forget her name though. It was an older lady.
She was also great. She had some iron.
Yeah. Some
I
like
will look
fuck
that
around
up.
and find out vibes.
Melissa Jaffer,
I know it started with an M.
who we have seen before, actually.
Oh.
2 episodes ago.
Oh.
She was the older of the actresses playing the priestess.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And she will return to play another older character at some point in the
Nice,
series.
nice.
That's awesome.
I love shows that do that, like Buffy did with Jeff Kober.
The thing that I love about Pilot's story is the realization that he has been in pain for all of the time that we have known him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And for all of his time with Moya, he has paid for that in pain constantly. So that moment where he's just like, there's no pain when he disconnects himself.
Yeah.
And then even more when he's able to be reconnected and he's able to connect with Moya without pain.
Yes.
Like, to me, that says everything about the whole sort of catharsis and bringing trauma out into the light and dealing with it is, you can't always, not be able to connect without the pain, but you can, a lot of the pain can be dealt with when it's brought out into the light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like John, when they were sneaking up on Pilot, she goes, if I can just get him to talk, and he goes, oh, so you think talking is good?
Yeah.
Mm.
I was like, yeah, get him, John, get him.
Yeah. Part of this episode to me isn't just about healing, but the road to healing, I guess. The journey of it rather than the destination, to use as a cheesy line. But
it's true.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do with people. So healing alone, healing by oneself, with the shame and the grief that the pilot carried and that Aaron carried, maybe they would have found a way to forgive themselves at some point. But the healing that has to happen with somebody is really hard to do, because first you've got to risk being angry at them, and you've got to risk losing the relationship. Like Erin almost left the ship. She was ready to go. She was packing up.
Yeah.
And the only reason she stuck around was because she was like, I'm the only one that can get through the pilot, and I care about this guy.
Yeah.
And not wanting to talk about it with John, Pilot not wanting to talk about it with anybody, and then like the reactions of everybody else when Aaron's secret was known. Like that's that is a necessary first step. In order for anybody to get over their hurt, first they've got to be hurt.
Right.
And it's uncomfortable and it's unfun, and it's a challenge. And a lot of folks back away from that challenge because they just want to keep the peace, or because, well, I don't want to make them mad or something like that. But it's a risk and it has to be taken. And so Aaron and Pilot took it this episode. And it was beautiful to watch. It was just beautiful.
And
Yeah, I
often when
love.
you have a painful secret, you do everything to not look at it.
Mhm, mhm,
Especially if it's a shameful thing or whatever, if it becomes
yeah,
this thing,
Mhm.
no matter what the secret is. And so it becomes a kind of cancer
right.
that just grows, and you spend your life sort of servicing the secret
Right.
Yeah,
to not look at it, to not face it. It's like that pain that is always
yeah,
there,
yeah.
you know. It's like if you've ever had like I might one of the things I'm thinking of is the time that it was ages before I could get a root canal
Oh, I've been
done on a
there.
tooth.
That's not fun.
Mhm.
I've
And
been
it
there.
was
That is
just,
awful.
and it was painful for months before I could get to
Mm.
before I actually got it dealt with.
Mhm.
And I was just kind of like going about my day, living with pain when I could have had it addressed. And oh, was it fun having it addressed in a 4-hour root canal?
Well, sure.
Mm.
But and like that is just kind of like a very surfacey thing.
Mhm.
But sometimes, well, it's a thing with ADHD is sometimes you don't get things done, and then not doing it becomes its own thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that like that's a relatively minor one.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so yeah, that actually bringing it the step of actually acknowledging the thing, actually bringing it into the light, actually,
Yeah.
saying, hey, there's this thing I've been living with,
Mhm.
and none of us want to do that.
No.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. I love the idea of her pushing through her own pain and her own guilt to help somebody with theirs. And I think it's made even more powerful by the fact that she was in part responsible for Pilot's pain.
Mhm.
That is so she really pushed through the shame that she felt to try and help and to begin to make amends. And I'm actually feeling really emotional now. I'm talking about it because, wow, just
And these are the two who would do anything to see the stars, do anything to fly.
oh,
The two
my
pilots.
heart, my freaking heart.
I was actually pretty all right with it being Rigel who gave Pilot the recording because I was thinking about
Mhm.
the Zelbinian, and I was thinking about
Oh,
Durka, and I was thinking
Mm.
that Rigel knows what it's like to be tortured,
oh,
and that this might actually have
okay.
been one of those rare moments of Rigel empathy.
Right, he wasn't just being a shithead. Right,
Yeah,
okay. I
and
like that.
that he didn't actually give Pilot the recording because it was about Aaron.
It might be both.
Yeah.
He's Rigel. He's a dominar of principle.
Yeah,
Really, he's a dominar of layers. He's an onion.
he
Mhm.
is.
As much as we kind of think of him as being a
He,
you know,
he looks like he would smell like onions. I don't know why I just thought that, but that's a genuine thought. I really think he'd have this like weird, sweet, sickly smell,
Oh, yeah.
like sort of like fried onion.
Mhm.
You heard it here first, folks. Rigel smells like fried onions.
Now that's what
Yeah,
I'll think of
there's
next time.
question for the patrons and for the commenters in the YouTube. What do you think Rigel smells like?
Let us know. And if you're on Twitter, tag me. I want to know.
Yes. So one thing I'll say about this episode, I find that this episode, I don't know if it's fair to say changes my mind, but it for me, this is one of the times that I really feel there is something special about John and Aaron, and it really raises my opinion of John
Mm-hmm.
because he does not act jealous.
No.
which I know
Yeah.
is kind of like it's kind of like a low bar, but at the same time, it's not.
No,
Like-
But it's still,
Yeah, that's
you
an
can
important
appreciate that though.
thing to highlight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That he is able to listen without judgment to her talking about loving someone else, and in
Mhm.
fact, in the end, to him, that's a positive thing. He takes it as knowing that she can have those feelings, and like considering who John was sort of modeled on, the like all American boy kind of Kirk.
Mhm.
I think that that's a real emotional maturity that we don't often see from male characters. Like,
Mm.
how many of our like leading men would, in a situation like this, be petty and stupid?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it I don't know where John and Aaron are going to end up, but if they do end up in a romantic relationship, I think we've seen so much that shows a really solid foundation for that. They connect as people and as friends and support each other regardless of sexy feelings and all that stuff, and that's really good. I love that.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, I don't know how low or high that particular bar is, but I think at the very least, it deserves a highlight because it's an incredibly healthy approach to relationships and to masculinity. It's there. It's so it would have been an easy kind of top of the bag grab for the writer to make John have like a moment of like, so you loved him, instead of it being like, so.
I would have
Loved him.
scoffed and face palmed. Like I really would have just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I would have been so mad. It would have ruined John this episode for me. I would have been like, there's the John I can't stand.
And I think there is, in John's expressions in the training room when he is listening to her, there is kind of a moment where he sort of like, you can see kind of him going, I'm putting my feelings aside.
Hmm.
Like there seems to be a moment of process there
Yeah.
where he actually is like,
Which is important.
gotta focus on Aaron.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's important that we show that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That processing.
Yeah, because in that moment, it wasn't about him and his feelings. It was about Aaron.
Yeah. But for him to not just automatically make it about Aaron, but to have the choice, like,
yeah.
doing
Actually,
sort of-
like the act of putting his feelings aside rather than just,
Yeah.
It makes it much more genuine, I think.
yeah. This is a good episode for John.
For their relationship.
Yeah.
Go, John. Proud under you, buddy.
Because Aaron also has a moment of real, like, healthy vulnerability too when she goes, "Hey, I've been keeping you at arm's length."
Yeah.
Because
Vast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I mean, and the rest of the rest of the sentence is because the last time that I was vulnerable with somebody, I messed up.
Yeah.
I don't.
And I like
I
that
don't want to hurt you.
He acknowledges that too without any butthurt. He's just like,
Mm-hmm.
he's just very like matter of fact about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, she's also acknowledging, like, I don't know how to do this.
Mm.
I didn't learn how to have relationships.
So far, she knows how not to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's got to be terrifying, I think.
But I really love this because so often in media, when we get badass women,
Mhm.
the men are never worthy of them.
Okay.
And like, sometimes we'll sort of be told that the guy is, like, we keep getting told that Riley is worth Buffy. He's not.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Or, in a lot of these situations, we'll have the badass woman and then a meh guy. Like the sort of one example I can think of, because it's kind of inspired a lot by Farscape, is like Star-Lord and Gamora. That is a 12-year-old boy and a grown-ass warrior.
I love that.
he's not in any way worthy. There may, in James Gunn's films, there's sort of a potential perhaps to grow into being worthy, But certainly in Infinity War, where she's like, she loves him and it's all unearned. And so often when writers create a badass woman, they forget to make the partner equally badass or actually decent and worthy. They kind of become an everyman, and all the fanboys get to imagine that they can be with, Rey instead of, because for some unknown reason she's pining for the shithead. That's going in another one.
Say,
like, why?
I feel like you got some stuff to talk out here, Sara. Why don't we just
yeah.
We'll just sit down
piss
together.
off all the fandoms? But like, I think a lot of the women right now are probably coming up with their own examples for this. That we see these badass women, and then 9 times out of 10, they're given these kind of meh men, or these emotionally immature, or these kind of like everyman. Whereas John is kind of an everyman, but he is an emotionally mature adult who is working on his shit. And also, she's a badass woman who is also a flawed individual. So she's not, there is something to invest there. Very often in heterosexual couples, there is not something to invest there because they're not given. This is why everybody ships so much of, male ships, because so often there isn't, a real person you can get invested in on both sides of that equation. And it's a heterosexual couple. And John and Aaron are amazing because they actually are. Sorry, that is my soapbox.
That's all right.
What are we here to do, We're here to talk Farscape
and all the Kylo Ren shippers and all that thing can at me in the comments.
Can't imagine anybody shipping Kylo and Rey, but I know they're out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been hugely into Star Wars, so I just kind of go, like I just don't have a dog in the fight. I really don't.
I'm not hugely into it. It's just one of many examples.
No. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So, anyway, back to Farscape.
Yes.
You really had some stuff to work through, Sara. It's okay.
Yes. I mean, I'm saying this is why this is so good, but it's still like 20 years later, we still don't get a lot of, pairings as good as Aaron and John. But, and I think this episode is showing us a lot of why, because it's showing us John being emotional and mature, and it's showing us why Aaron has things that she needs to work through. And I think you will enjoy the road ahead. Sometimes it's painful, and sometimes it's not.
Hurt me.
That's where we started the episode.
I crave it.
I know. Again, I careful what you wish for, but no, I like it. Give it to me.
I want to have to use a fork and a knife to eat an episode like this. It's so good.
Me too.
Do we have anything else?
I've exhausted my notes here.
So I think that's I love Erin and only want the best for her. And if anybody knows how much an Emmy costs, then we can ship one to Claudia Black. And
yes, please.
Start a GoFundMe or something.
Her Twitter bio contains a quote from someone that says practically sci-fi royalty, and now I get it. I really get it, because absolutely yes.
Yeah. And then also there is her work as Vala Maldoran in Stargate, which is completely different, and I completely love it.
Okay.
Okay, so in that case, we'll move on to favorite part.
Aaron and our pilot in the chamber at the end, comforting each other. There is this close up of Aaron's face, tears streaming down, and just that whole sequence. Chef's kiss, love it.
Just I can't choose. Like I loved start to finish. I love this episode. If I had to, if you really put a yellow bolt gun to my face, made me choose, it would probably have to be Aaron's breakdown with the punching bag.
Powerful stuff, yeah.
Like, God, that just took me. Sarah?
Yeah, trying to choose.
See?
Dude,
a petty part of me.
I spent like half an hour trying to figure it out. When I watched the episode, I'm like, wait, which part was my favorite? It was hard.
The petty part of me wanted to say Aaron calling Zana on her bullshit, but
that was great too.
I think for me, while it's so much of Aaron and John are just so much, one non-Aaron and John moment I will pick out is Dargo speaking for the crew to say that they want Pilot to be able to bond naturally with Moya.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how long it takes and no matter how, if it risks something to the rest of them, because I feel like that moment encapsulates everything about the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything with Aaron and John, the patience that they are giving each other to grow. And, it says so much to me about trauma and about, family. And, it's just giving each other the space and the patience to grow.
Mm. Yeah, beautiful.
And then the fact that means that he doesn't feel pain when connected to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good.
So, yeah. We didn't even talk much about the whole thing that we now know what happened with Talon and...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We now know why Grace was so intent and interested in Talon. Yeah. Makes sense. But I'm sure there'll be more to talk
those
about.
little threads that got picked up.
Yeah.
And I remember that you guys were when we had that episode, we got a secret. Josh was like, "There's something suspicious about Pilot. Why doesn't he know about gestation of Leviathans? There's something suspicious here." And I said, "You will never figure it out."
I did not. And I could not.
Yeah. But yet, if you watch it back, it actually holds together.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is
I'm
you
looking
do
forward
a twist
to a rewatch.
good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So the next episode is called Picture If You Will.
Okay.
And then following that is Home on the Remains.
Okay. No predictions. I have no idea. Don't know. We'll see.
No ideas about Picture If You Will?
Something to do with the picture.
Yeah.
That spirit picture, what's his face did? What's the face? Was it Zahn? There's something about a picture, spirit picture. I don't know.
Special guest star Chad Kroger, Nickelback will feature prominently on the soundtrack.
Nice. Just like we had a Barbra Streisand call in this one.
Yeah.
I'm so high, I can hear heaven. Sorry.
Look at this photograph.
Hey!
That's
yeah.
That's much better. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So yes, that will be our next episode. With that being said, Jack, how can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Lack of Surprise 1. That's all one word with a number 1 at the end. You can find me over on our Discord server, Howdy Poppets. And you can find me over on Instagram at Jack Kramme, all one word, lowercase. Josh, what about you, sir?
I hang out on Instagram a lot, at Josh Gosdin, all one word, all lowercase. Talking about food and self-care. Sarah?
Very useful things to talk about.
No, I think so.
Yes.
And you can find me on YouTube at the Costume Codex. I did a video recently about about joy, and particularly in my case, I talked about Fat Joy and the show Shrill. This is a part of a project that I did in sort of connection to the one scene for Hope I did a few months ago, was to do one scene to talk about joy. And you can join in that if you'd like. The instructions are on my channel. And I also am on Twitter talking various nonsense at Bluestock Sara. And yes, you can also find me in our Discord, which is Howdy Poppets. Again, the link in the description. And with that, we will see you in 2 weeks for Picture If You Will.
Thanks, friends.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. So I think the thing about Rigel's story that I love the most is the idea that he has been in
pilot,
pain.
right?
What did I say?
Rigel.
Rigel's been in pain.
Rigel's been in pain.
Rigel is a pain.
Yes.
There's our outtake. This is us coming to you from the future when we are recording, future, past, whatever. We wanted to take a second to congratulate our friends Ian and Lonnie who got hitched on the weekend. Yay!
Shit, I disappeared. Ah!
Jack was so excited he got sucked into a mirror dimension.
Congratulations, you two kids.
Very well done. Love wins and triumphs overall.
Yay!
Yes.
So yeah, I'll just stick that on the end.
My
As our
love,
outtake will be us congratulating our friends.
darling,
Congratulations, Ian.
I
Congratulations, Lonnie.
hunger for your touch. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
No, don't stop.
Alone, only time. Okay, stop. Okay, now I'm uncomfortable. It rarely happens to me, but I'm like, oh, they're both like staring and intently. That is a beautiful song.
And you
I
are
love it.
actually a good singer.
I am a terrible singer, but thanks.
No, I enjoy your singing.
I mean, I do it with such gusto that, yeah, I can understand. Yeah, but I'm
Really
not.
go for
I'm. Thanks.
You own yourself.
Anyway,
No, I enjoy your singing.
thanks. I enjoy you as a person, as a human being, as my friend. I enjoy both of you, actually. Josh, like, tell me more. How does that make you feel?
Josh has gone into therapist mode.
Yeah. What is happening?